Back on the Sports Zone, I am Mike Aglialoro. I'm going to do things a little bit differently today. First off, I want to let you know that I will not be doing the AL Central preview when that comes out. I've decided to take the opportunity to introduce the Sports Zone family to its newest writer in the form of young Brian Zamorsky out of Manville, New Jersey. He's going to do the AL Central preview. Very detailed. If you guys get a chance, please check that out. It's going to be the first of many articles out of him. So for right now, before I do the AL Central preview, which should be out early in the weekend, I want to talk about basketball a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I've kind of slacked on my basketball duties this season, and I really haven't covered anything in terms of the NBA since the opening of the season. I did a Knicks and Nets season preview, and that's basically been all I talked about basketball. Tom Lumbo did his article about the Knicks season last week, and truthfully, I want to comment on that a little bit because the big news this week is that sources have indicated that by the end of the week, Phil Jackson will be announced as the team president. And late Wednesday night, Greg Anthony of NBA TV actually announced that an agreement was in place, but the title was not determined. We've heard from Carmelo Anthony, who was rumored that he wasn't consulted while all this was going on. He, of course, claims that he was given a phone call. J.R. Smith tweeted that the deal was official, but nothing has been confirmed just yet. It may be confirmed as early as Friday afternoon. But the bottom line is it looks increasingly likely, as much as I thought it would never happen, Phil Jackson will come to the Knicks organization. It will not be as a head coach, but it will be as an executive. More than likely, it will be as team president. To my way of thinking, in terms of why Phil Jackson would come to an organization as dysfunctional as the New York Knicks have been for the last decade, to me, he doesn't come to this team unless it's on his own terms. What that means is he has to be the one calling the shots. When Donnie Walsh was in charge of the Knicks, it was rumored that he was not in favor of giving up as much as the team wound up giving up for Carmelo Anthony. It was, in fact, James Dolan who gave the order to trade away 6 players in a draft pick for Carmelo Anthony. And, of course, within the next 2 months, Donnie Walsh had resigned his position as team president. There is no way in hell that flies with Phil Jackson. If that even remotely happens, he's going to leave, and he's going to bash Dolan in the papers. And to me, given the state of the Knicks team right now, that would be the worst ending possible for this whole union between the Knicks and Phil Jackson. And obviously, he's going to get his concessions. You have to figure, at least in relation to the demands it was rumored he made when he was up for the Lakers job at the beginning of last season after Mike Brown was fired, you got to figure he's going to get certain travel accommodations, and he's basically going to be able to do this when he wants to. That's why you hear a lot of talk about he's going to be the guy that comes in and basically picks out the entire front office. You have to figure he's going to do an entire cleaning of the current Knicks front office staff. The names you've heard mentioned so far, I heard Mick Kupchak was a possibility for Jackson to ask him if he wants to come in. You know Jackson has a ton of connections in the league. So you know that Jackson's probably got a list of people to come in and help out the Knicks organization. And, as far as head coach goes, let's be honest, Mike Woodson wasn't exactly 100% guaranteed to be back next season as head coach before you bring Jackson into the equation. Woodson, of course, has said the right things, that he felt that Jackson would be good for the Knicks organization, but that's still no guarantee that Phil is going to keep him around. He's a fan of guys like Brian Shaw, who was a player of his when he was on the Lakers, and he was actually an assistant coach under Jackson for his last couple seasons. You also know that he coached Steve Kerr for 3 seasons on the Chicago Bulls. So that is definitely another possibility. Steve Kerr, of course, has front office experience his own self with the Phoenix Suns, so you have to wonder if he's someone that comes into the organization. But the bottom line is, Phil Jackson is a legend in terms of NBA coaches. You look at the coaches throughout NBA history, it's him and Red Auerbach neck and neck. No one will deny that. The 11 rings he has between the Chicago Bulls and LA Lakers make him in the pantheon of NBA coaches throughout history. But that does not necessarily translate to instant front office success. If you look at Pat Riley, he took over the Miami Heat organization basically in 1995 after he left the New York Knicks because he wasn't allowed full autonomy in the front office. And he never won one championship, and in fact, it only made it to one NBA final before LeBron James and Chris Bosh joined Dwayne Wade in 2010. So it's not necessarily a guarantee that Jackson comes in and makes the Knicks a legitimate NBA championship contender next season. But he definitely will bring a lot of class to that front office. And let's be honest, when you bring back a guy who was fired in wake of the whole Isaiah Thomas sexual harassment scandal and who himself was named in the scandal, there is no class in that Knicks front office, and it's high time James Dolan realized that and just left Phil Jackson to his own devices like he leaves Glenn Sather to his own devices as the New York Rangers team president. But the problem he's going to have is that the Knicks are going to be in salary cap hell for the distant future. Carmelo Anthony, free agent, of course, after this season. And I'm sorry, if you want to act like this does anything but makes Carmelo want to come back, you're out of your freaking mind. I don't really think he wanted to leave before Phil Jackson was brought in, and now that he is brought in, I really don't think he's going to leave. But the problem is going to be that Amari Stoudemire, Tyson Chandler, and Andrea Bargnani's contracts are all still on the books for one more season. That right there will entirely limit what the Knicks are going to be able to do this year because in addition to that, you also have J.R. Smith on the books for 3 more years at $6 million this season. The one possibility that this does lead to is what happens with Miami. All the veterans that are willing to take the veteran minimum on 1-year contracts. You've seen a lot of players do that with Miami. You saw a few of them do it with the Knicks last season. And as per what Tom Lembo said in his article, maybe for next season you do try to go the route that got you a lot of success last year and bring in the veterans. Phil Jackson is definitely someone who can bring those veterans in and convince them to take less money when they wouldn't have done it otherwise. So in the end, this is still one, no matter how you look at it, whenever you add a legend like Phil Jackson to an organization that has been as floundering as much as the Knicks have, it can only help. The only thing in my eyes that could stop this is if the Los Angeles Lakers make a last-minute offer to give him everything he wants and then some in the Lakers front office. You really got to wonder if he would take that after everything that went down last year when he was supposed to be given the head coaching job after Mike Brown got fired, how quickly that was taken off the table for Mike D'Antoni. So you do have to wonder if there is still some lingering hostility with that. You know the relationship between Jim Bush and Jeannie Buss, Phil Jackson's girlfriend, has never been great. So there's a lot of factors at play there, but I got to feel that the only thing that could really stop this is the Lakers making that last-minute offer to get him back on board with their organization, especially given the comments over the last week from both Kobe Bryant and Magic Johnson. But other than that, it does look like Phil Jackson will be coming to the New York Knicks as early as Friday afternoon. That's going to be all the time we have here on the Sports Zone. Like I said, look for the first article from the newest Sports Zone writer, Brian Zamorski. He's doing the 2014 MLB primer, the AL Central preview. And the NL Central preview should be out over the weekend as well. And we will come back to you with a recap, winners and losers from the first week of NFL free agency. Thanks for watching. Like us on Facebook. Visit our Twitter site at WeAreSportsZone. Send us your comments, any questions you might have. We'll get to all of them as quickly as you can. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Take care, folks.